Latest football news, engaging debates,
and fascinating opinions.
Pitchside Talk on IO Radio.
Hello and welcome to Pitchside Talk here on IO Radio's Fridays at 5 p.m. with me, George. I hope you're all doing well. We've had, a busy week of football action for this week. Sorry, I've just accidentally hit my mic and I've really hurt my finger badly. Ow. That's a reminder for the
start.
Yes, it's a great start, Dan. I thought before I introduce you, but this is awkward. I've got now. It's a bit weird. So I've upgraded myself a little bit, and I've got this mic stand in front of me, and it's a little bit that I keep again. I like to flail my arms about a few times, and I've just whacked it. And that's sort of a lesson: don't flail your arms about when this mic stand is in front of you, because many things could happen. But as he's already spoken, it's Dan. Dan, how are you doing? It's been a weird week of football for you.
It has. It's been a bit more positive this week, hasn't it? So yeah, I'm feeling a bit better this week. No, there might not be much moaning today, which is a big surprise. When was the last time there weren't any moaning on our show?
I can't think. Maybe I want to say probably off the top of my head, probably Blackpool back in October.
Yeah, would have been
not the second victory. But I would say the first is probably the best performance I've had of all year, and had something that's actually topped it. But before we get into that, I've been mentioning the social medias: Twitter at Pitchside Talk, Instagram Talk_Pitch, YouTube, Mixcloud, both at Pitchside Talk. If you want to listen back to any of our previous shows or see any of additional content, yes, we do match previews, and they're all uploaded there. If you want any early access to watch them, and make sure you subscribe to see more of them. But when we come back, we're going to talk about Ipswich Town double bill. We've got the Premier League to do and a Champions League roundup. Yes, we've had more games in the Champions League, more English sides playing. But when we come back, we'll talk about Ipswich Town and a positive week for the club. Stay up to date with the latest footy news.
Pitchside Talk on IO Radio.
Hello and welcome back to Pitchside Talk here on IO Radio's Fridays at 5 p.m. with me, George and Dan. As always, now before we move on into the next section of the show, talking about Ipswich Town this week, I better mention social medias: Twitter at Pitchside Talk, Instagram Talk_Pitch, YouTube, Mixcloud, both at Pitchside Talk. If you want to listen back to any of our previous shows or watch some additional content, yes, we do some more content on there. We upload our match previews for all the Premier League games and Ipswich Town games of the week. You can see early access to them, so go and check it out and make sure you subscribe to never miss another video. Now, as I previewed in the earlier link, Ipswich Town have actually had a semi-positive week. We're all a bit stunned. I think I'm quite stunned actually writing it for once, a positive week. But this week, Dan, Ipswich have played two more games. And we're going to start off a Saturday game. It was a 0-0 draw to Oxford. An improved performance by Town from Tuesday night's what happened against Northampton Town. Everybody was predicting a 4-0 loss. 3-0 loss, not going to get anything in this game, but they got a 0-0 draw. They got a point. But when you watch the highlights, Ipswich Town, a big missed opportunity here for 3 points, I think we can say.
Yeah, you'd say that, wouldn't you? I was quite surprised with how we played, because I was one of them who were thinking that it was definitely a loss and we weren't going to play well. So it was a big surprise. Obviously, going into the game, Lambert completely changed the squad, didn't he? I remember at 2:00 at the time, I was like, what on earth is this? I think I said to you on Twitter, I was like, what the hell is this team? He just brought in Wilson and Nsiala in randomly.
7 changes.
Yeah, 7 changes, which was mad. So I thought, oh God, this isn't going to go well. But, we performed well, and maybe we should have come away with a win. I think I still wasn't too happy with it. I think I still thought we should have won, shouldn't we? We had the chances. So I wasn't happy that we drew 0-0. And I think the fact that we were basing it off Northampton, which was the worst game I've ever watched. I think that's the bar, how low our bar is. I think that's what I was getting at the time. But looking back at it, it was a good performance, and the score wasn't the result wasn't the best, but we performed well, and we needed to build on that, which we'll come to in a minute.
Yes, you are correct. Yes, I think it was quoted after the game that this is it was a 0-0. It was it's sort of a step in the right direction, ever so slightly. I think it's probably it's the best we've seen Ipswich Town play in a little bit of time, probably since Blackpool, probably into sort of the second victory,
which was okay.
Yeah, so better than that. But it's as you just said there, they were back on the road on Tuesday to Hull City, who were sitting third in League One, chasing for automatic promotion, but had slightly dropped off in the weeks prior. I think 1 win in 5, and it ended in a 1-0 victory to Ipswich Town. Yes, I did just say that right. Ipswich Town won a game away from home against the top 10 side. Mind is blown. That's their first away victory from home since January, which was Burton, if I'm correct. A win over a top 10 side since back in October, which was Accrington Stanley. Yes, Accrington Stanley, who currently sits 7th in League One. But Dan, Ipswich got a victory away from home against a top 10 side. And I think we can say, even though it's a 1-0 victory, they've probably just produced one of their best performances of the season so far. Madness.
Yeah, they have. Yeah, it's mad. What a great win. It was so unexpected. I thought that we were going to get battered in this game, but we looked really good. As you said, the best performance in such a long time, and Hull weren't on it, were they? For a team that are scoring goals for fun in this league, I think Malik Wilkes and McGuinness, they like to score goals.
Oh, yeah.
We didn't show them anything, really, did we? We contained them really well, which was a massive surprise. And I think it shows that we have enough quality to do well in this league. Why haven't we been performing like this? Until now, we have enough quality in our squad to do well, and we showed that. It was a really good win. I think we looked comfortable throughout, didn't we? We scored that early goal, a really nice goal as well. That pass from Kenlock was just absolutely perfect. I haven't seen a pass like that from an Ipswich player in so long. And a good finish from Norwood as well. He's scored 2 in 2 now. He's getting on with the goals now. So it'll be interesting to see how many goals he can get if he stays fit. But yeah, overall, really happy with it. And for once, I have nothing to complain about. As I said earlier, it's a bit strange that we're on the show and I haven't got anything to complain about. I'm still Lambert out, but yeah, nothing to complain about today.
They're still firmly in that camp, but yeah, it's weird. Even I'm stunned. I think the last time we talked about an Ipswich victory in length, I think I was saying before we started recording, was Blackpool back in October, and that was a 4-1 victory. And we're saying this game here is better than that performance. It's crazy, but as you just mentioned there, James Norwood's strike helped. It's still all 3 points at Hull, but he's really struggled this season. I think we can sort of say James Norwood. A lot of injury problems, lack of fitness. I think a lot of the injury problems have been from last season with that groin problem, and he sort of then we went into lockdown, wasn't able to recover in time for the rest of the season because it was postponed, but because he couldn't get the medical help and that, and he's sort of been on the back foot this whole season. He's slowly come back into the side. He came back into the side like a few months ago, got that hamstring problem, starting to recover from that, then that lack of fitness. But he's come back into the side. He's had a run of games now. I think he started the last 3 of the 4, if I'm correct. But when he's fit, he provides something that Ipswich Town have been missing this whole season, because Jackson's not in the side. He's coming with the under-23s, which we do not get why. None of the other strikers are firing, but he's just shown to Ipswich Town why he is the best finisher at this club, and he is a key player to try and help to get out of this mess that they are in.
Yeah, he has his problems. He's maybe a little bit arrogant. He kind of on Twitter. He's not great on Twitter, is he? And fans don't like that. But I still believe, and I think most Ipswich fans agree, that he's the best striker at this club, and he is crucial to our team. I think he's the only one who can. Maybe Jackson can score goals if he's alongside someone else. If he's up front by himself, he can't. But I think Norwood is that natural goal scorer, and he maybe could have done better overall in his Ipswich career so far. But he's the only really outlet we've got at the moment. Parrott, he's done okay since he's come in, but he hasn't really scored. But I think that Norwood is our biggest threat, and yeah, he's definitely crucial to our season. Injuries have been a real problem for him. Groin, and I think he had a hamstring, and he had to have surgery, didn't he? I think that hamstring injury was from Tranmere as well, wasn't it? When he joined, he's kind of suffering from that at his old club. But yeah, I really hope that he keeps fit, because I can only see him scoring more goals, and if we have the service to him like we did in this game against Hull, which I haven't seen in a long time. Bennett's was really good. He had a chance to score, actually, didn't he? But he tried to find Norwood. The midfield looked like they were trying to provide from him, and then we kind of stopped with this passing around. So if Norwood has this service into him, then I think he'll score more goals. And yeah, I really hope he stays fit, because, as I said, he's the best striker at the club.
Yeah, he is. He seems like he's been missing this whole season. Like I said, he's only had 12 appearances, 2 goals compared to last season, which was 28 and 11 goals. But do you feel that, like you said, he's arrogant now, but do we need that at Ipswich? He provides something that's a bit different. He's got that sort of that dark sort of arts sort of thing you don't see in many strikers these days. But that's sort of needed at Ipswich Town, because they need that. They need that sort of that fight, because that has been lacking up top recently. Troy Parrott has come in, hasn't scored yet, but he can get in the right position, he just can't score. But with James Norwood, he's sort of going to help Ipswich a little bit more.
Yeah. You need that type of character in your squad, don't you? I remember Joe Garner was that type when he was here, wasn't he? He kind of bullied the defenders to. Well, that worked really well, didn't it? The way he bullied the defenders, and I think Norwood is that type of character which you need in your squad. People might not like what he says on Twitter, and that whole thing with the talk sport, and he sounded like he didn't really care where the club was at the time. But I think he needs to do his talking on the pitch, and since he's come back, he's kind of been in and out of the squad. But if he could start scoring goals, I think fans will begin to like him again. I think he has to start every game now, and I think having that type of character in your squad can only help. And I think we've seen loads of times, when we're winning games, he'll pretend to be injured, kind of limp towards the halfway line, and then as soon as the whistle goes, he'll just like start sprinting, won't he? He's kind of that type of character. A word that we can't say on this show, but yeah, I still think that our fans shouldn't really go on what he does on Twitter and what he does on the pitch, because that's where it counts.
Yeah, I'm happy you didn't swear there. I was like, I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, no, I know I wanted to say it, but then I was like, no, I can't say that.
He knows a code of conduct very well. He does. Yeah. He's been learning it every single week. But somebody else who you mentioned earlier on was Miles Kenlock. Somebody who's really impressed quite recently. Someone who struggled playing in the side in the past, sort of been the understudy to Tyrone Mings. Knudsen, yes, Knudsen, he was the understudy to Knudsen, I am saying that. Then Garbutt as well, and then looked like Stephen Ward. But since he's come into the side, his last 5 games he's played, it's just haven't lost a single game, only conceded 1 goal. The game he didn't play in was Peterborough, quite ironically. I wonder what happened that night. But this season, he's been different. He's evolved. He's finally looked like he's trying to take that position and hold it on with his 2 hands for dear life. And that cross he did for the Norwood assist is absolutely beautiful. That sort of reminds me of the Chambers assist we can remember back at the Blackpool game back in October. But he looks he's made that left back slot his own, and he isn't giving that up.
No, it definitely does, and he's kind of come out of nowhere. You know, I remember when he came into the squad, I was like, oh, here we go, because I've never been a massive fan of Kenlock. You know, before I thought he was really weak, and he wasn't. He was okay going forward. He did pretty well going forward, but his defending wasn't the best. But he's come in and he's been absolutely brilliant. You know, I've heard some of our fans saying he's a late contender for player of the season. That's how well he's playing in these last few games. And I really want him to keep him up. You know, it's really good for him. You know, he hasn't really had the chance to stick in that position in that squad. You know, he has come in a few times. You know, under Mick, he kind of dipped his toe into the first team. I think he played quite a lot in the relegation season before we got a left back on loan. But he didn't really have the chance last year because of Garbett. But I'm really pleased that he's back in now and performing well, because, you know, he deserves that chance. As I said, haven't been a fan of him in the past, but, you know, if he can keep this form up, he's got that spot nailed on, hasn't he? If he keeps performing, I really hope that he doesn't revert to going with Stephen Ward, because although Ward could be a good leader, maybe, you know, a good experience in the side, I think he's past it now. You know, ever since he came back from his injury earlier on in the season, he hasn't looked the same. You know, he doesn't look good. So I'm pleased that he's been, you know, put to the bench, and Kenlock's come in, see if he can prove that he can do it. And so far he is. And what a pass that was, you know. I've watched that over and over again where I saw it. It was just inch perfect for Norwood. So yeah, let's hope that he continues to perform.
Well, I'm going to say it's different gravy. That's what it was.
Yeah, it was.
Let's hope he does, because, you know, he's come through the Ipswich Academy. He's had some tough times. I've watched him in the past, and when I've watched him, perfectly honest, I haven't really thought too much of him. Perfectly honest, if I've watched him in the past, I feel he's been a bit sheepish.
Yeah,
if I can sort of say that, but he looks like he's come alive. But after the game, Paul Lambert said it was a step in the right direction, and Andre Dessel said, "I said always our luck would change. Hopefully, this could be it." But Dan, could this be a turning point in the season? 4 points from the last two games. That's puts them sixth in the form table, more points than Portsmouth, Doncaster, Hull, Charlton, and Oxford, all teams that are above them in the league. You know, the last two games have been against top 10 sides, 4 points. That's pretty impressive. We haven't seen that in a long time. They played more games than the teams above them who are in the playoffs. But these next 4 games that they've got are going to be very important. You know, they're playing 3 of the top 10 in Doncaster at home, Acton Stanley away, Gillingham away, and Lincoln at home. But if they can get substantial amount of points from these 4, can we say that the playoffs are back on? Like, because they are close. Then they are an outside contender now, and if they can keep the form up, they could do it, couldn't they?
If we keep this form up, yeah. But you know, this season, I've lost so much faith in our squad and the manager and the owner as well, that I'm still not confident. I still don't believe we have enough to get playoffs. I know we're 4 points off, and I think, do we have a game in hand in Doncaster, or do they have a game in hand on us? I can't remember.
Ipswich have played 28, Doncaster played 27, but they didn't play on Tuesday due to a waterlogged pitch. But Ipswich do have games in hand. They have 3 games in hand over Hull still, who are third.
Okay. So yeah, I'm still not confident enough. You know, I think it's the next game is crucial against Doncaster. If we can get a result there, and teams around us lose, then we'll be back in the fight again, won't we? But I know what we're like. You know, we get a really good result against Hull, and then we'll go into this game against Doncaster and go back to our normal ways, or Lambert will completely change the squad again, or something like that. So, you know, I'm not going to get too confident. I'm not going to get my hopes up too much, but, you know, the hope is there. You know, it's not too far away. You know, a couple of games ago, we thought it was absolutely non-existent that we're even getting close to the playoffs. But, you know, a draw and a win has managed to get us 4 points off, which is mental and shows how poor this league is, really, doesn't it? But yeah, as I said, not going to get too confident just yet. I have to wait and see. And I don't think Paul Lambert is... I think he's not really going to get any support, even if we do finish in the playoffs. I don't think. I think he's gone too far. I think the fans are against him fully now. So I think even if we do get in the playoffs, I don't think we'll win the playoffs. But if we do, I still hope Marcus Evans makes a change in the summer, because I still don't think that Paul Lambert's the right man for the job. But you can only hope that we'll get in the playoffs. I think the hope is what kills us, isn't it?
Yeah. I have to ask you, if Ipswich did get in the playoffs, but they didn't win it, they just got in the playoffs, they got in sixth, would that be considered a good season for Ipswich Town for where they have been this season, through the absolute mess it has been? Sort of, they've been in the mid-table, more fights. Would that be considered?
I think it'll be considered a good season from where we were, you know, in January. I think that'd be a good turnaround. But I think overall it wouldn't be a good season because of what's happened during it. You know, it's been a bit of a mad season, hasn't it? You know, loads of things have happened this year. You know, protests. Everyone was wanting Lambert out. New owners, rumours of new owners, and actually that's all happened in the last month.
Yeah.
So yeah, this season's been mad. But yeah, I think Lambert's lost the fans, and I don't think even if we do make the playoffs, I think if we got in the playoffs and won it, it'd probably be a good season. But I think that's so unlikely. You know, I just cannot see us doing something like that. But I think if we got in the playoffs and didn't win it, then I don't think it'd be a successful season, because it's a third season in League One, isn't it? You know, we wanted to get out of this league quickly. I know the salary cap's been scrapped, so we don't have to really worry about that. But we've still got loads of players out of contract going into next season. You know, we're probably going to be losing a lot of our players. So, you know, youngsters are going to have to step up for next year, which is going to be a third season in League One. So, yeah, for me, if we get in the playoffs, it'll be a good turnaround, but still not a successful season.
Yeah, very interesting there. Well, Ipswich Town are back at home this week, looking to build on their win at Hull. And tomorrow, not today, tomorrow, they will play Doncaster, who are currently sixth place in League One. They've lost the last 3 games out of the last 5. I think that's 3 in a row they've lost. They didn't play on Tuesday because of a waterlogged pitch at Blackpool, so they have got a game in hand. But their last game out was a 3-3 draw to Hull, I want to say, actually. They clawed that back. But the last time the two sides met, it ended 4-1 to Doncaster Rovers versus Ipswich. And that was Ipswich's first league loss of the season. And it started this little crazy mess that slightly got into a little bit. But Dan, can Ipswich build on their victory last time out? Possibly, if they win this and results go their way, they can go up to 7th and they'll be 2 points off Doncaster Rovers. Or will Doncaster Rovers get their first win in 4 games?
It's going to be another tough game, isn't it? You know, it's Doncaster, and they thrashed us at their place, didn't they? Back in September, I think. You know, that was, as you said, that was kind of where it started. So, yeah, I think it's going to be a really tough game. Hopefully he puts out the same squad, because I think that our defence, as it looks now, maybe add Matheson in. That's probably our best defence. You know, the midfield looked good against Hull and 2 up top. So, although it didn't really play top because I think Parrott kind of played him behind. But let's hope he sticks with the same squad. I don't know why he wouldn't. I think actually it's Downs back. I think Downs might be back, so maybe you'll put Downs back in. So, you know, if you keep with the same squad, then I think we could still perform the same as we did against Hull. I think it's most likely going to be a draw. I'm still not super confident with our squad. You know, it's still after all these games of performing or not performing well, it still doesn't make me confident. So I'm going to go for a draw. I think it'll be 1-1. But will that be a good result? Probably would, in the context of things, wouldn't it? I think people would be okay with that. So yeah, I'm going to go for a 1-1.
interesting thoughts there from Dan over the game. What might happen tomorrow against Doncaster? Let us know what you think at Pitch I Talk on Twitter. What is your score prediction for Ipswich Town versus Doncaster Rovers? Now, when we come back, we'll be talking about the Premier League. There's been more twists and turns in the fight for European football, and there is now a relegation battle on. Yes, finally, a relegation battle. My favourite sort of battles to watch because the title's already gone. So we might as well talk about relegation scraps when we come back.
Pitchside Talk on IO Radio.
Hello and welcome back to Pitch I Talk here on IO Radio's Fridays at 5 p.m. with me, George, and Dan. As always, now before we move on talking about the Premier League this week, I better mention the social medias. Twitter at Pitch I Talk, Instagram talk_pitch, YouTube Mixer, both at Pitch I Talk. If you want to listen back to any of our previous shows or watch any more additional content, yes, we do some more content. You can get access to our early access to our match previews that we do for all the Premier League games and Ipswich Town games this season. To check them out on the YouTube, make sure you subscribe to that. And also, if you've missed anything in this show, you missed Dan talking about Ipswich Town positively for once. Yes, for once, I'm shocked as well. Still, I've gone white. Don't worry. Fridays at 6 p.m. straight after the show. As soon as you can listen back to the show. But now we're talking about the Premier League. And this week, we're seeing more twists and turns for the race for European football. And there is now a relegation scrap on our hands, yes, as it gets tenser and tenser by the minute. But here are the results from the games from Friday to Tuesday. So starting off with Friday, Wolves got a 1-0 victory over Leeds. Southampton drawed 1-1 with Chelsea, ending that run of 6 straight defeats in a row and taking points off Thomas Tuchel's side for the first time this season and in his managerial career at the Chelsea club. It was a 0-0 draw between Burnley and West Brom. Everton got their first victory at Anfield since 1999 with a 2-0 victory over Liverpool. More dark times for Liverpool. Fulham won 1-0 against Sheffield United. West Ham won 2-1 against Tottenham, taking them into the top 4. Aston Villa lost 2-1 to Leicester. Manchester City extended their unbeaten run of, I think, 13 games in a row in the Premier League after getting a 1-0 victory over Arsenal. Manchester United won 3-1 against Newcastle. Crystal Palace stole all 3 points in the M23 derby against Brighton, a 2-1 victory. Sorry, Palace and Brighton fans. And Leeds capped off the week with a 3-0 victory over Southampton. But Dan, starting off with the biggest wins this week, it is West Ham. David Moyes has said his side hasn't even hit top gear yet, despite winning over the London rivals 2-1 against Spurs, climbing into the top 4 places, 23 points from the last 10 games. Only Manchester City have more points than that with 30 because they haven't lost any of their games. But David Moyes here is doing a fantastic job, we can say. He's turned this side into a solid side. You know, last season, half of these players here, we wouldn't even consider to keep them up. They have struggled a lot last season, but he's made that side his own. And West Ham at the moment, they look unstoppable, I think we can say.
Yeah, they do. You know, they've been the absolute surprise of the season, haven't they? You know, I think in the predictions that I did at the start of the season, I think I put them 17th, just avoiding relegation, and I said David Moyes wasn't the right man for the job. You know, they've absolutely proved me wrong there. You know, and they look absolutely, as you said, unstoppable in the league at the moment. You know, really good win against Tottenham. You know, their derby, isn't it? So getting one over on their rivals against the Tottenham side who are not doing great at the moment. And yeah, you know, when you look at the league table, they're now 5 points ahead of Liverpool, who are in 6th. So Europe is definitely on the cards for them next season. And I think the last time they got into Europe was under Bilic, wasn't it?
Yes.
Can't remember. Was it 15, 16? They were in Europe, I think.
Yes, it was. Yes.
Yeah. So it's been quite a while. So yeah, what a season they're having, and what a job David Moyes is doing. I know they got Man City next, so you know that's a tough game for them. But you know, let's see what they can do going into the last bit of the season.
Yes, and with sides dropping points around them this weekend, they've capitalised on that. But what a fantastic David Moyes has done. Even if they don't get Europe this season, I think we can sort of say he's done a fantastic job for them. Another big winner this week was Everton. They got their first victory at Anfield since 1999. And I've just hit my microphone again with a different finger. Ow, don't do that. Don't do that. Shouldn't do that. Everton, they got their first victory at Anfield since 1999, ending their hoodoo and their poor run of matches and putting them on the same amount of points with Liverpool. Oh my God. Help me, please. But Dan, let's put them back into the spots for European football. They're only 5 points off the top four. Are they what we can say dark horses in this race? Because they have been, at one point, they were top of the league. They were in the top four. Things have slightly dropped up recently, but they're getting results against the big sides. They're struggling against the little sides of it, but with the big sides, they're getting those results. And that could help them possibly get into this top four race.
Yeah, it definitely could. And to draw a level on Liverpool is a massive thing. Sorry, George. But yeah, as you said, they kind of they're good at getting wins against the big sides. I know they lost to Man City, but they also lost to Fulham, who are kind of on the up at the moment. I think they lost to Newcastle last month as well. But they're getting closer and they're bridging that gap a little bit. I think they've looked okay this season. Some games that I've watched, they haven't been too great. I think, I thought in the game against Liverpool, I think was Calvert-Lewin on the bench.
Yes, he was on the bench. He just come back from a hamstring strain.
So I thought that would be a big miss, but didn't seem to be, did it? I know, I think he came on, but it didn't seem to affect it. So I think, the confidence is going to be high at Everton. They've got a world-class manager. So I think they could get a run going here and try and get into the top four. I still think it's going to be tough to do it because I just think they go into games and lose, unnecessarily, I guess, against some of the lower teams. So I think it's going to be tough for them to get into the top four, but there's every chance that they can if they get a run going.
Yes, we'll have to wait and see what Carlo Ancelotti does. I think he's done, from a Liverpool point of view, he's unfortunately doing a very good job there at the moment. But the biggest losers this week, Liverpool. They have now hit an all-time low. 4 consecutive home defeats for the first time since December 1923. And also that season, they were defending champions as well. So it looks like winning the title is a little bit of a curse for them, but they're now 33 points off their tally last season after 25 games, which is, I think, the biggest difference ever by any defending side. 4 points off the top four, 5 points, off the top four. They need to end this crisis quickly because Klopp's side here, they're struggling in the league, but in the Champions League, they're fine. But in the league, it's a different story. But how has it gone so wrong? Because everything looked so bright.
It did. Yeah, it's unbelievable how wrong it's gone, and the gap is getting bigger, isn't it, to the top four? So they need to change it quickly. It's quite surprising, and you can't really pinpoint why it's going so wrong because they've had injuries, but they've still got a squad. That front three is still fit. They're still playing Mane, Firmino, and Salah pretty much every week, who were absolutely lethal. Last season, they were unstoppable. So I don't know what's happening to them. Why they're the goals aren't coming. I think Liverpool. I don't know how many games they went unbeaten at home before, but to then go into
68.
I can't remember. Yeah,
68 games. It was about 4.5 years or 3.5 years, something like that.
Yeah. To then go into 4 games lost at home, it's just unbelievable, really, to see how far they've dropped off. And, they wanted to defend their title. That's not going to happen. And that always seems to happen, doesn't it? The teams that win the title the year before don't seem to do well the next. It might be a curse of the title winners, but people are saying that is this Liverpool team the worst all the worst champions in the
Mm.
history of the Premier League. I'm not going to go that far, but it's a real crisis at Liverpool. I think I said last week they should stick with Klopp, and I still believe that. I still think he can do a job there. But you know, these big Premier League clubs, they don't take this sort of form for very long, do they? You know, sackings happen all the time. So I think he's safe. You know, but I think he's safe in the job. But you know, they need to change it quite quickly.
Yes, we'll have to wait and see if that crisis can end soon. And another team that is in a bit of a crisis moment is Newcastle. Another loss for Steve Bruce's side. That is now 8 defeats in the last 10 games. Only 6 points from those last 10 games as well. About a week ago, Dan, it was about a 10-point gap to Fulham, who were in 18th. Now it is a 3-point gap to Fulham. Newcastle, I think we can say, are now in real danger here. They need to start picking up wins, because if not, they're going to be dropping to that relegation zone. And we've seen this season that if you're in that relegation zone, it's a hard fight to get out of.
It is, yeah. You know, what is it? It's mad what's happened to Newcastle. You know, how have they dropped so low so quickly? It's madness, and obviously, no, you can't take away how well Fulham have done to get that gap. You know, for fighting to survive, really. So, you know, credit to them. But Newcastle, you know, it's such a bad run they're on, and they can't seem to get anything from anywhere, really, can they? I think they did beat Southampton earlier on in the month, didn't they?
Yes.
But you know, they keep losing games. I know they've had a tough run recently. I think they played Chelsea and United, and I don't know who else they played, but Leeds, I think, before that. But you know,
Yeah,
the results aren't good enough, and they're being dragged into this relegation fight. And you know, I said before that Steve Bruce, I didn't think that was the right appointment. He had a good first season, but I think time's running out for him. I really do. I think if Newcastle drop into that bottom three, he's gonna be under a lot of pressure. I think the fans are kind of getting fed up with him. I know the owner is backing him. You know, he's sticking with him, I think, but you know, it's not good for a team like Newcastle to become that type of yo-yo club. Maybe if they go down, and you know, you'd expect them to come back up if they do go down. You'd expect them to come back up, but are they going to be able to stay up again? They did it before, so maybe. But yeah, they need to pick up some form, because they're going to get pulled into this bottom three. And you know, for a club as big as Newcastle and the history they have, for them to be that type of club who you know, yo-yos between the Premier League and the Championship, it's just not good enough, is it?
No, it's not good enough at all. And especially for Newcastle fans, they are sort of considered a very big club. And I think they are a big club, but yeah, let's hope they don't go down this season, because we don't want to see Newcastle go down. We like the Geordies, don't we? You know.
Yeah.
And they've got a semi-good squad, but we'll have to wait and see. But when we come back after talking about all that Premier League action, we're going to be talking about the Champions League. Yes, we've had another round of the knockout stages. Let's see what happened in those.
The best place in Ipswich to hear the latest football debates, Pitchside Talk on IO Radio.
Hello and welcome back to Pitchside Talk here on iRadio's Fridays at 5 p.m. with me, George, and Dan, as always. Now, before we move on to the show and talk about the Champions League, I better mention the social medias: Twitter at Pitchside Talk, Instagram Talk_Pitch, YouTube and Mixcloud both at Pitchside Talk, and make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel if you want to listen back to any of our previous shows, or even this one if you missed anything Dan talking about positively about Ipswich Town for the first time in a million years, never heard it before. Once in a lifetime event. It's like an eclipse. And the Premier League, make sure you head over to our channel at 6 p.m. tonight. Yes, tonight. And it goes out on Friday. Now, the Champions League, after last week's thrilling matches in the Champions League knockout stages, this week we've had the turn of the second leg of the first leg of matches. For the knockout stages, seen Atletico Madrid, Chelsea, Lazio, Bayern Munich, Atalanta, Real Madrid, Borussia Mönchengladbach, and Manchester City all in action, and starting off with Atletico Madrid versus Chelsea, and Chelsea took home a 1-0 lead over Atletico Madrid. An away goal thanks to Giroud's spectacular overhead kick. A big statement here from Chelsea, I think we can say. And Tuchel in the Champions League coming into it as the underdogs versus the La Liga leaders. And I think also as well, Tuchel's never lost against a Spanish side at all in his career. So he's keeping that up. And then moving on to the other game for the English side revolves Borussia Mönchengladbach versus Manchester City. And Manchester City took home a 2-0 aggregate lead over the German side thanks to Bernardo Silva and Jesus goals. But Pep Guardiola said his side should have been more clinical. We controlled the game, but we should have scored more goals. But they have won 19 successive wins in all competitions. Madness, and Pep Guardiola is demanding more from his side. Bonkers. And then the other games from the Champions League, Bayern Munich might be struggling in the league quite recently, but they threw down a gauntlet as the defending champions in the Champions League with a 4-1 victory over Lazio. I think they mean business this time. And finally, Real Madrid took a 1-0 lead back home versus Atalanta thanks to Ferland Mendy's stunner, clinching the first leg for the Catalan Giants. So yeah, that is everything from your Champions League this week. The next matches are coming up in the first week of March, I want to say. I can't think. Yeah, I think it is the first week of March. So we've got a nice little break to muller over the results, but some interesting results there from these ties. And we'll have to wait and see what happens in the next few weeks of these ties. But when we come back, I think we've just got a little bit of extra time here for a football roundup.
Pitchside Talk, footy debate from the Premier League Outback.
Hello and welcome back to Pitchside Talk here on iRadio's Fridays at 5 p.m. with me, George and Dan. As always, now we've got a little bit of extra time, which gives us enough time to do a football roundup. Hooray! I still haven't built a sound effect for that just yet. So there's been other things, but I think it's just easier to do it in my voice. It just saves me time. It'd probably take me about an hour to build that, and then for about 2 seconds for that to be used on the show.
True.
Yes, but apparently I'm going first this week for the news for the football roundup, and I've got some interesting news here. So Neil Lennon, the Celtic manager, has resigned with his side 18 points adrift off Rangers in the Scottish League. I think we've sort of been seeing this coming for a little bit of time now. There's been protests at the club about him being there and the position Celtic are in, not being very good with your bitter rivals, 18 points ahead of it. But he has now resigned, and there's now been managers flung around the place. We've got the Scottish manager, Steve Clarke, being rumoured with the job, Eddie Howe, and also a long shot in Celtic legend, never heard of him before, Paul Lambert. He's been rumoured with the job. But Celtic, if you really want him, please take him now. Please.
I'll drive him up there for you.
Yep, we're doing that now. He's going to Celtic. Good times ahead. But Dan, what is your football news this week?
Yeah, so I've got some Ipswich Town news. Hooray. So the under-23s played against QPR Tuesday. Oh, I can't remember what day it was.
Tuesday.
But anyway,
Tuesday.
yeah. But anyway, Tristan Nydam, who hasn't played in absolutely ages, he's been injured for so long, was finally back on Tuesday, which is a great thing to see. Him back in the under-23 squad, in a squad which had Jackson, Nolan, and Lancaster and Dobra. But we won't talk about that. Tristan Nydam, really good to see him back again. I hope he has a chance to get into the first team squad this season, because before he got injured, he was, I think, under Mick's last season. He got a lot of game time under him. So yeah, really good to see.
Yes, that'd be really good to see. I think he had that injury back. Oh my God, about
a long time ago.
I want to say the 1920 season, was it? It was in the pre-season, wasn't it? He'd done his ankle ligaments in it.
It was, yeah.
Cool. Well, it's good to see him back, because he was a good footballer under Mick. We saw a little bit flashes under. Well, we didn't see much under Hurst and Lambert, but he was playing the pre-season. he could have possibly been inside. But yeah, let's hope for him to be back very soon. And now, Dan, we've hit the end of the show.
We have.
It's been a positive show for once.
Yeah.
I feel odd. I feel like I need to go and have a lie down. I feel, to be perfectly honest, how it's been. But yeah. Well, thanks for being on the show. Will you be joining me next week when we talk about Ipswich Town, Premier League, and I don't know yet, something interesting, something new? I reckon.
Yes, I'll be there. Hopefully hopefully another positive week of football.
Hopefully, we'll have to wait and see. What have we got coming after us? We've got the Gap Show 6 until 7, the Reba Show 7 till 9, and Flip Switch 9 until 10. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, make sure you do, is at Pitchside Talk, Instagram _pitch, YouTube and Mixco, both at Pitchside Talk. If you want to listen back to any of our previous shows, or even this one, it'll be up in a few minutes, 6 p.m. on a Friday. And also we have additional content going out as well. See early access to our match previews for all the Premier League games and Ipswich Town games this season. Well then, I've been George. He's been Dan as always. We'll see you next week, and ciao.
Bye.
The whistle has been blown for full time. Tune in next week for another jam-packed show.